G'day everyone and welcome to today's Trekzone live event. After the test that was the soft launch last week, I'm prepped and ready to bring you an awesome 80 minutes of live goodness today as we look back on the entire production process for Gary O'Brien and The Holy Core. Then, with Gary's blessing, The Holy Core, the short film, the actual short film will play on this live stream. I'm very much looking forward to bringing that one to you. Don't forget, you can get early access to podcasts just like this one, as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes access by becoming a Trekzone member on Patreon. We're fast on our way to becoming a self-sustaining website, but we need your support. Become a member today and help Australia's unofficial home of Star Trek get even better. If membership isn't your thing, you can always keep up to date with Trekzone by following us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as subscribing to the YouTube channel and podcast feeds. Leave comments, react to posts, react to videos, leave thumbs up, thumbs down if you really want to. It all makes us feel good on the inside. Leave a comment in the video description on this live stream as well. Give this video a thumbs up. All that good stuff. It really does help us feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside here at Trekzone HQ. Oh, and by the way, anybody adding a super chat will have a graphic made up just like this one, bottom of the screen now, which will go on the recording and kept in the archive. You can see it in the future. You can show all of your friends, do all of that good stuff. Get on the show, support Australia's unofficial home of Star Trek, which is Trekzone. Super chat away. Please do that. All of that is very much appreciated and truly goes 100% to supporting Trekzone. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here's my chat with Gary from February last year, where the Holy Core began. G'day everyone and welcome to the Trekzone Spotlight. Matt Miller with you. Joining me from his home in London once again is a man named Gary O'Brien. He was the director and producer of Chance Encounter last year. He's got a new project coming up. Gary, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now tell us a little bit about this project that's coming up. I believe it's called The Holy Core.
That's right, yeah. That was originally a working title that we've just kind of stuck with. So yeah, The Holy Core. And it's a next-gen era Star Trek fan film, 30-minute duration, and all original characters, all original cast.
What inspired you to create a fan film in the next generation era?
I think it's probably my favourite era, and because it's my favourite era, I already have some props and costumes and stuff from that era. So obviously, in the world of low-budget filmmaking, you use whatever you've got to hand. And so it was my favourite, and I also had some stuff lying around that we could use, so it just seemed like the logical place to start was next-gen era. Plus, I actually don't think you see... I'm not a super expert on watching loads of fan films, but generally it seems it's either sort of post-Voyager or the original series as a rule of thumb. So next-gen, there doesn't seem to be hundreds and hundreds of next-gen out there, so...
It's a perfect time frame and rich for exploration because that whole era of the 2360s around the start of next gen, as you say, there aren't any fan films. So there's plenty of stories that you're hoping to tell.
Well, we'll do one at a time. This will be our second. I imagine a lot of people watching this maybe are aware that we've done one before, Chance Encounter, as you mentioned. So yeah, we just do them as one big film project for us rather than we don't have any kind of goal of continuing series or characters or anything like that. We just make one film, and yeah, depending how it goes down and whether it goes down at all, funding wise and so on, then yeah, who knows what the plans will be after this one. We just work one film at a time.
Oh, fantastic. Well, can I ask about the funding? How are you achieving that?
We're going to launch a Kickstarter that's going to run through March. So from March the 1st to March the 31st. I forget how many days are in March. But yeah, the whole length of March we'll be running a Kickstarter campaign. And then the film will either happen or it won't, depending how that campaign goes.
It's interesting too that you're a film professional in the UK. A good friend of mine now that I've been talking to for the last couple of years, Aaron Vanderklee in Perth, is also in the film industry, and I'm looking at, well, I'm not looking, I am producing a fan film coming up. Do you think that it seems to be the fan professionals with a hobby in Star Trek that are getting fan films done? And of course, I'm referring to one infamous project that we're still waiting for 5 years later.
It's a good question. I suspect that people like myself who are fans and filmmakers, I guess by laws of averages, will produce better quality content. It's just bound to happen that way. And therefore, it's likely to get more traction with people because it's going to appeal to more people. I mean, some people will watch fan films of all quality, and good for them. And people should make them at all qualities. But I think, the more overlap there is with filmmaking and your profession, then the more likely it is that you'll produce something that a wider amount of people will watch. So yeah, I expect there's some truth in what you say there, that you'll see a trend for more and more professional looking fan films coming out, and no doubt the people behind them will be professional to some degree or other. Yeah.
And the big asterisk, of course, on that is that it's still our hobby. We're still adhering to those guidelines that CBS released. But it is a hobby, and it's just something else that we want to produce, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, this will be my sort of, I kind of lose track, but I've proper sort of short films that I've made. This will probably be like the 10th or 11th, something like that, including Chance Encounter. And this is only the second Star Trek one I've done. So, yeah, it's something, if you like films and making films, then you're going to find a way to make them one way or another. I'm just in a Star Trek phase at the moment, that's all.
Well, what inspired that Star Trek phase?
When we were, Paul and I, my writing partner, when we were coming up with an idea a couple of years ago now for what was to be our next film, it was a love story, and it became more and more sci-fi-y, and it headed in that direction. And then eventually I said to him, we could make our first film, we could make this first film a Star Trek film. And he was kind of down with that, and we thought, well, that'll be fun. And that became Chance Encounter. And it went down really well. People seem to like it generally, and it's got, for us, quite a lot of views on YouTube. And we like to make films, so we said, well, let's do at least one more Star Trek film, which is this new one, The Holy Core, and we'll see how it goes.
Is crowdfunding the key for you to getting this project done?
Yeah, I think it is, really. Some of the films we made in the past that weren't Star Trek, they were much lower budget, like maybe £1,000 or something, and we, would chip in that money between us, and we're happy to do that as as an exercise just for ourselves. But certainly, Chance Encounter was the first thing we'd fundraised for, and it was about, I forget exactly, it was about 1,500 to 2,000 that we raised, which we were very thrilled about because we'd never done it before. We didn't understand it really, and we were nobody to people. Nobody had heard of us or anything. Of course, each time we make a film, Star Trek or otherwise, we try and up our game and just get better and better at what we're doing. And so this one will be 30 minutes to fit the fan guidelines, whereas the previous one was only 20. And we just want more ambitious. A lot of our first film was set outdoors. We want to avoid that this time, and so a lot more of it is indoors, which means sets. And so the scale of the Holy Core is bigger, and therefore that means even more money than Chance Encounter, and therefore that does mean that it kind of lives or dies on the success of the fundraiser.
Can you give us a little bit of an insight into the plot of the Holy Core?
Sure, to some degree. Obviously, I don't want to go way into detail, otherwise
Absolutely.
it kind of undermines it all. But
Can't do spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so broadly what happens briefly is that our new ship and new crew, which is a Nebula-class starship, so it's sort of similar to the Enterprise D. We open our film with our crew helping a planet that's emerged from centuries of religious warfare, and in the last 10 to 20 years, they've finally managed to sort of find a reasonably stable peace, and the planet is now working to tidy up all the damage they've done to their world, specifically in the case of our film to the atmosphere. And our crew is going to work with these aliens called the Vitans to help them repair their atmosphere. So that's kind of where we enter the film. We just sort of, that's the first sort of opening teaser, is establishing that. And then the story evolves, and there's some surprises along the way. Things aren't necessarily all in exactly what they seem to be. But what I think is interesting is that unlike Chance Encounter, which was essentially a love story with Star Trek bolted on the side, this one has been written from the ground up as a Star Trek story. So where it goes and the route it takes as the story unfolds is very much like an episode of The Next Generation.
The teaser that you have released, there is an opening title teaser that is on your website. It's really cool. The thing that really drew me into it straight away was the fact that There's a different class of ship that we haven't seen before. It's the Nebula class, as you say. What inspired you for that?
Look, I guess a couple of things. Frankly, it was a 3D model that I could find online that looked good enough to use. There's various qualities and stuff out there. I mean, people put them out there for free, so there's certainly no complaints. But I didn't want it to be a Galaxy class ship because I think that's just I want to differentiate between the Enterprise D and our ship. And so ones that were available that were of kind of high enough standard, it kind of narrowed it down. But frankly, the Nebula class would have been a pretty good one, a good choice anyway. I think I'm very happy with the fact that we've said it. That we're going to use that ship. I forget offhand who authored it, although of course they'll get a credit in the film. But I mean, I'm no 3D modeler. I have kind of worked to improve the base model I downloaded, so I've added thrusters to it and done this and that, and it's a continuing work modifying and improving that model. So the teaser you mentioned, even since that teaser's come out, I've continued to tweak and work on the model, and will no doubt continue to do it until the very last day of the Holy Core being in post-production. So but that's kind of the reasoning behind that ship.
G'day everyone and welcome to the Trekzone Spotlight. Matt Miller with you. Exclusive details about a fully funded Star Trek fan film over the next 2 episodes. Joining me from his home in London is a very happy Gary O'Brien once again. Gary, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Matt.
Now this is pretty cool news. For those that haven't seen it though, tell us what's happened.
Okay, well, over the last 24 hours, the Holy Core has become fully funded.
So what was it like? I've had crowdfunding campaigns that haven't quite worked out. So what were your feelings like at the start of April there at the end of the crowdfunding campaign?
Yeah, well, the campaign, it never quite got as much momentum behind it as I hoped. I was hoping for an initial burst right in the first couple of days, which didn't happen. So right from the start, I was a little bit concerned, but then you look at different crowdfunding campaigns and they're all over the place. Some finish right at the last second, so you never know really what's going to happen, but I wasn't comfortable at all through the whole thing. It always seemed like if it was going to happen, it would be close. And obviously, unfortunately, it didn't. I mean, we got halfway there, which, in fact, is no small accomplishment because, that we still managed to raise, in theory, over £4,000 in 30 days, which isn't bad at all. I mean, no, exactly. I mean, that's double what Chance Encounter got in the same amount of time. So yeah. I mean, it's not that we didn't do well. We just didn't hit the target.
Well, what was your motivation for going with Kickstarter instead of Indiegogo? Because of course, with Indiegogo, you could have kept the money that you'd raised over the month.
Okay, yeah, well, 2 things really. I mean, one, Kickstarter worked for us the first time, and although of course we were asking for quite a bit more money, we figured we already had a film out there this time, so that hopefully, that would serve us in good stead with people because we actually had something to prove that we had done before. And the other thing was, I think that as a donor, I think that I would rather give to a Kickstarter than an Indiegogo. Although it's not as good for the project runner to run a Kickstarter, if I was going to give my money to something, I'd like to know, if you need 10 grand for something and you only raise 2, I'm like, well, I've given you 500 and what are you going to do now? And I didn't want to be in that position either. I didn't want to raise like half the money and then be like, well, that's not really enough to make the film. So now what do I do? Do I do yet another one? And now it just seems like you'll just keep asking for money over and over. Or do I give that money back? So I wanted to either know, yeah, we're doing the film or we're not really. So that's kind of really the 2 main reasons for Kickstarter.
Indiegogo has a bit of a reputation amongst the fan film community now, especially given that any money that you raise over your crowdfunding campaign is money that you get. It's not going to be enough if you don't reach your target to make the film because, well, you had a target. It's sort of become a bit of a Wild West, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. I mean, I'm not too sure. I think certainly in terms of Star Trek fan films, that seems to be it. Obviously, there's such a huge array of things you can crowdfund for. I don't know, but certainly in the Star Trek film sphere, you're right. I think that does seem to be the model. I mean, I think you'll know better than I, but I think that even Star Trek Continues struggled, and I think maybe didn't even reach its final Indiegogo campaign. So if those guys couldn't, then it is a little bleak. Certainly the situation I'm in now is not going to happen every time somebody launches a Star Trek fan film crowdfunder. So yeah, it does seem that people are just having to do Indiegogo and then just either make the film for less money than they wanted or just be in perpetual crowdfunding. The thing is, I get the impression that a lot of the people that are backing these fan films are the same people, which is great. You know, there's like a hardcore of people that are willing and happy to donate to fan films. But if you then just don't get enough and go back, you're just going back to the same people. And they're like, well, I already gave you some money 2 months ago. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see over the coming sort of months and years, I guess, what new path the funding goes in for everybody.
Well, it certainly is a challenge. I remember reading during the week somewhere online, I can't remember exactly where it was, that Continues and New Voyages were struggling towards the end there. It almost seems as though the heyday of crowdfunding for Star Trek fan films is over. And I wonder whether the actual heyday was because there was no new Trek on the horizon. But now that Discovery's here and the new movies are here, polarizing views aside, we have new Trek, a new official Trek. And the donors seem to have moved on to give their money to the studios once again. So do you feel that there's still a place for fan films?
Yeah, I mean, I think there must be, especially as you say that you know, not everybody is a fan of the Star Trek, the official Star Trek that's coming out. Some people love it, some don't, some are indifferent. So I think there's always going to be a market for the fan films. I don't doubt that, but exactly. I mean, I do agree. I think you're right in that the fact that there is official Star Trek now is certainly will have hurt fan films. Because yeah, you're right. There's not that drought of Star Trek content like there was, 2-3 years ago. And I think certainly you're right that Star Trek Continues was like the sweet spot. I think, and maybe with Axanar as well. The planets were all in alignment for crowdfunding Star Trek at that time. Axanar hadn't had any troubles yet, and everybody kind of was blown away by Prelude to Axanar, and Star Trek Continues was doing great, and everybody was on board fully, and we all kind of went a bit crazy crowdfunding everything. But inevitably, the moment shifts by. Axanar went a bit sour, of course. Star Trek Continues came on the fan film guidelines. New Star Trek comes out, and so I think the planets they're not all bang lined up properly anymore for it. But I certainly think there's still a market there for it, just a bit diminished.
G'day everyone and welcome to the Trekzone Spotlight. Matt Miller with you. I'm continuing my chat today with Star Trek fan filmmaker Gary O'Brien. All right, Gary, well, we spent the last episode talking about crowdfunding for Star Trek fan films, but that doesn't apply to you anymore because you have this backer that's come on board to give you the entire production budget that you were after. So, for those that aren't aware of the Holy Corps, can you tell us what the storyline is?
Sure, okay. In a nutshell, the Holy Corps is a next-gen era 30-minute Star Trek fan film with all original characters, all new ship, all new crew. And the storyline involves talking about religion, which incidentally I heard that the showrunners for Star Trek Discovery are apparently going to be doing religion as their theme for season 2. So that's an interesting coincidence there. The Holy Corps, it deals with talking about religion and science, but not in a kind of religion versus science way, just discussing it. But we also have a lot of adventure and a lot of great story threads and action and excitement happening. And it's just a great script. We're really thrilled with it. People just have to wait and see it because it's one of these things, if you try and explain it too much, you end up giving the story away, and I think that would be a shame.
Now that you're fully funded, What's that going to enable you to do?
Well, hopefully pull off the world's best next-gen era fan film. I hope that's certainly what we're aiming for, and there's no reason why we can't do that now that we have the money. As long as we work hard and stay focused on it, then I'm hoping that it will be at least arguable that that's what we achieve. So fingers crossed.
You're reusing the sets from Chance Encounter, but you're reinvigorating them.
Yes, that's right. Well, we're probably just going to reuse the shuttle pod. We built a kind of little turbo lift thing, and for Chance Encounter, if we can find a way to repurpose that, then certainly we will. The shuttle pod will definitely be making another appearance. It's in the script, probably more than it was in Chance Encounter. It makes sense. We've got the thing built. It'd been in storage, and I'd sort of kept rough tabs on it, just in my old shed. And it was all stacked away with a dust sheet over it. And I used to kind of look at it, and it always looked quite healthy, but I hadn't fully investigated it until just the other day when I got word that the funding was coming through. So I went and kind of, with bated breath, checked the condition of it, and thankfully it seems like it's almost perfect. It hasn't gone mouldy, it hasn't gone damp, it hasn't all gone weird. So the good news is that the shuttle won't require too much work to get it camera ready, although we are intending to build more fresh stuff to put on the front of the shuttle because it has more screen time. We need to be able to sort of show a bit more of the shuttle this time. So we're going to build the front end out. But the stuff that's already existing seems to be in sort of perfect condition pretty much. So we were thrilled to find that out.
Now, I believe you're also extending a real set with some CGI. You showed us some demonstrations during the crowdfunding campaign. Have you gone back to see how that's going to work?
Not yet, but I mean, I think I kind of know. I think I've got this, got that down to speed. It will really just come down to now building the small section of the bridge that we need, and then photographing it properly, rigging it, and just filming it in a way that will lend itself to the set extension technique that we intend to use. But the good thing is although that's an important part of the script and the story to show the bridge, it doesn't rely on it. We're not hanging too much on it, and as much as we can, we intend to just film in our little corner of the bridge that we're going to build, and it will only be some of the time that we actually go wider and show a bit more of the actual bridge. But yeah, that's an exciting technique, and certainly, you can. I think it's something that I wouldn't want to become too reliant on that kind of set extension stuff. But I think the way we're intending to use it in a kind of just a small little bit that just supports what we're trying to do, then I think it's potentially a really kind of cool tool to have in the old filmmaking toolkit,
Well, at the moment, I'm following 3 fan film productions. Aaron Vanderklay shot in his parents' garage for The Fall of Starbase 1. My production was in a small green screen studio in Perth, once more with feeling. Whereabouts are you shooting The Holy Call?
We may go on location for a small part, but that's yet to be determined. But the majority of what we're going to be doing is it's a public space you can hire. It's kind of a village hall. I don't know if you have those in Australia. I can't remember from when I lived there. Yeah, so it's kind of one of those, and it's a strange kind of building. It's just a multi-purpose building that people hire for venues and as a venue for weddings and parties and yoga classes and that kind of thing. It's in this quiet, sleepy little village, and that's our intention, is to shoot it there. It's not too far from my house, so that means transporting back and forth shouldn't be too much of a trouble. So yeah, that's where we'll be shooting the bulk of it.
Well, Gary, congratulations on getting The Holy Call fully funded. What's it like to get that email from someone saying, you know what, I believe in you, have all of the money you needed to make this short film?
Yeah, I mean, it's very flattering, certainly. It's a great compliment, and you feel even more responsible because rather than a huge crowd each giving you a little bit, it's just one guy that's said, look, yeah, like you say, I believe in you, here's some cash, go and do something good with it. So yeah, it's a very unusual but very gratifying position to be in, and I'm really grateful as well, obviously.
Well, just lastly, Gary, what can you tell us about this mystery donor?
Okay, sure. Well, some people might actually recognise his name. It's Alexander Mayer. and he's a German gentleman, and his name appears on a few sci-fi films that we might have seen, including Chance Encounter. I'm pretty sure he also gave some money to Tommy Kraft, his film Runaway. It was his thing he did after Horizon, which was it wasn't Star Trek, but it was sci-fi. And yeah, he's a very generous guy who loves his next gen, loves his Voyager, and if he sees something that he thinks is going to be good, then he's happy to chip in. I guess he just has a little bit more available to chip in than some of us do, but yeah, but as a very generous guy, and obviously we're thrilled that he's come across our work and that he supports what we're doing.
We're 30 minutes into today's live stream. Don't forget, you can get exclusive early access to Trekzone podcasts by becoming a member on Patreon. Trekzone's also on all the socials. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Plus, grab your favourite podcasting app, search for Trekzone, and get subscribed to get the latest audio versions of the YouTube show right now on your phone. It's perfect for your work commute or that easy listening time that you have somewhere. Welcome to the show, Matt Miller with you, and today's guest is here for an update. It's his third visit onto Trekzone. Mr. Gary O'Brien, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Nice one. 3 times already. Wow, we're getting there, aren't we, eh?
You need to keep producing fan films.
So it seems.
But as I understand it, you are well underway into producing your next one, The Holy Core. Tell us where you're at right now.
Okay, well, at the moment, it's all shot, and it's on a very long timeline being edited, and I've actually got a fairly good rough cut existing right now, so making good progress with it.
That's very exciting. While I was waiting for you, I was actually checking out your November production update again, where you were still building the engineering set on the bridge. You'd done most of the location shooting. What was the biggest challenge for you out on location?
The weather, actually. It was ironic because we shot that in the summer, and people may know that in Britain we had a really nice summer this year, except for that one day when it was stormy and raining and very windy, which at the time we kind of we were upset about because we were looking forward to having a really simple day shooting outside. But actually, it's a blessing really because it was so much better for the scene. It's quite a dramatic, perilous scene that occurs outside, and so the weather being like that was actually really good for the film. It was just a little bit of a we sort of sighed that morning when we got up and opened the curtains and looked out and saw the rain and the wind. But yeah, it's all for the best, I think.
Nice. So you worked in with what was happening and put it on screen, basically.
Yeah. The weather actually sort of was in sync with our script better than our hopes had been. So yeah, it was a good happy accident.
Fantastic. And then you've come along and very expertly crafted just the part of the bridge that you needed. Did that work out for you?
Yeah, it seems to. I haven't got to the stage yet in the post-production where I found out really. It looks like it'll work. It's at the moment I've just got the raw footage that we shot, with light stands and green screen and stuff all around the edges, just to get the pacing of it all. So yes, I'm yet to find out if it's actually worked, but it looks very promising. I'll say that at least. So yeah, we'll see.
You've got that rough cut down now on the timeline, as you said. What is there something that surprised you about the film, or has it sort of come out the way that you'd expected?
Broadly, I'd say it's as I expected. We'd written it very tightly. It's a very tight. There's no sort of fat on the bone particularly. There's no sort of wishy-washy bits in it or anything. So it's very much a tight script. We've got on the timeline what was on the page. We've managed to cut like tiny bits out just to get it down to the 30 minutes. So it does feel very pacey. Like it's a good pace. It doesn't really let up, which is necessary to get the whole story told in the sort of 30-minute or so limit that the guidelines dictate. I would maybe give it like an extra minute or two's breathing room in an ideal world. But yeah, I mean, it basically, I'm very happy with how it's shaping up so far. So yeah, it's all come out quite well.
So do you think that 30-minute guideline is a hindrance, or do you think it sort of helped you maybe be quite pacey?
Well, the guideline existed when we were writing it. So we wrote something that would be 30 minutes, more or less. And our estimate at that was pretty good because, if we left it super flabby exactly as we'd written it, then it was like 32 and a half minutes or something. So whether or not the guidelines have hindered, I don't know, because we'd written this script to fit the 30-minute guidelines. So who knows, chicken or egg? I don't know what came first there, but
Very true. Very true. No, nice, nice. Now, for people that aren't aware, and I don't know how you would be, but can you give us a brief plot synopsis of the Holy Core?
yeah, sure thing. So, well, I say sure thing, and of course the difficulty is, which I've had the whole time that this film has been around, I've been talking about it, is I don't want to sort of give it away, but the themes it talks about are religion and fanaticism and romantic love thrown in there as well. But I don't see really the merit of getting too deeply into the story specifics because it's a 30-minute film, and you start chucking too many clues out there, and then people will feel like they've seen it before they've seen it. So, yeah, I just think it feels very Star Trek. If anybody has seen my other Star Trek film, Chance Encounter, that was lacking many of the classic elements that you expect in a Star Trek film, like loads of spaceships, loads of uniforms, phasers, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff wasn't in my first film, but there's all those ingredients are in this film. Plus, hopefully, we've still got the same sort of soul and good writing. So this will feel a lot more Star Trek than our previous film. But yeah, so it's on theme, and religion, fanaticism, and that kind of stuff is all involved.
Well, you're a tease, Gary O'Brien. So how are you progressing with the edit? When can we sort of see it? Have you got a rough idea of a release month, maybe?
Yeah, I've sort of been
Just to put you on the spot here.
Yeah, well, indeed. I've sort of been, I've kind of been intimating that it might be kind of March or April. It won't be March. It could be towards the end of April, but I don't know.
You can't rush art.
No, exactly. And you can't, you definitely can't. And also you can't take into account, actual work coming along and taking priority and stopping you from putting the hours into it that you might like to. So, yeah, I mean, it won't be before April. That's about as accurate as I can be at this time. But it won't be one of these things that languishes away and never sees the light of day. It will definitely be coming as soon as it can. But yeah, I couldn't really put a specific time on it yet. It'll be ready when it's ready.
Well, welcome to a Trekzone conversation, and it is the 5th episode of March, focusing on fan films done right. And you can't go a month with fan films done right without talking to this awesome man. It's Gary O'Brien from the UK. Gary, welcome back to Trekzone.
Thanks, Matt. Glad to be here.
Now, you dropped a trailer a couple of weeks ago, and it's taken us a little bit of time to get together and sit down and have a look at this. But how's that production process going for you with the Holy Core?
It's going really well. Yeah, I'm still hopeful that we'll get it out by the end of April. It's not a promise still, but that's my estimate from last time we spoke seems to still be on track, which I'm pleased to say. So yeah, it's going well. There's just little bits and bobs to tidy up and stuff, but it's essentially there. So release is imminent.
Fantastic. Well, let's check out this trailer right now.
My world was lost a long time ago when the Paysan leaders appeased our enemies, the Genites. The war will never be done while we share our world with them. They're not our brothers.
We must live together as brothers, or perish together as fools.
Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Together as brothers
Are there those on your world that feel their faith is supplanted?
Supplanted?
25 years ago, Genites and Paisans working together in this way would have been unheard of.
You were the one that was suggesting that faith was a thing of the past.
Beyond logic lies faith, Captain.
It will break down all organic matter in the area.
They'll be lost.
Then let's get to it.
Romulans, Cardassians, all victims of your peaceful federation?
That is the past. Peace shall prevail.
Be rational now.
With the Starfleet signal being detected on the planet's third moon.
Bring it aboard.
Praise Janus.
Gary, the action, the suspense, the excitement is there. How cool was it to finally see all of this come together in a really nice trailer?
It was pretty cool. Yeah, I was pleased. It's been a long time coming. From when I think back all the way to when I first started getting the script and stuff together, it seems like a lifetime ago. And all through the fundraising and the misadventures with that, and so to get it to the point where it's within my grasp to have the thing finished and get a trailer out, it's great. Yeah, I'm really pleased.
And what's the public response been to the trailer?
It seems to be pretty good so far. Yeah, people seem to like it, which is good. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with how it's all shaping up. Of course, really my focus is on the film, and as soon as the trailer's done, you stick the trailer out and then just go straight back to working on the film. So I haven't actually seen the trailer myself for a little while now, but it's good. I mean, time flies, man. It's only been a few weeks, and it already seems like a lifetime ago that they finished the trailer and put it up. So everything's moving so quick, it's insane. But there you go.
It's absolutely incredible, and I'm very much looking forward to this film because it's just another one. It's a beautiful story. There's a bit of action, bit of suspense in there, and I really want to know what's going on. But you're not gonna give any spoilers away, are you?
I can't really. I can't talk about it without just talking about it full on in detail. And so I've just the whole time I've just been super sketchy about it all. But even the trailer itself is kind of, it doesn't really explain the narrative, which is deliberate. I hate trailers where they show you basically a 30-second version of the film. So hopefully the trailer is still kind of, it's doing its job, and it's saying, hey, there's this film and it exists. It's coming soon, and this is the kind of production value that it has. But it still hopefully doesn't really go into too much detail or give any spoilers, and keeps it kind of just still a bit of a mystery until the film comes out.
Aside from the live action stuff, one thing that really drew me in was the quality of the CGI. There's a little bit more action going on in space this time around compared to Chance Encounter. That was all done in house, wasn't it? That was all you.
No, the spaceship stuff has been done by a friend of mine. My producer had worked with him before and wanted to use him again, and so I haven't really had much contact with the guy who's actually doing it. Really, he's very good. He's very efficient, and we do it kind of by email. In fact, most of those shots have been sort of signed off and done for quite a while. So again, I keep saying it seems like a distant memory when I was going through the sort of early previs stuff that he provided. And there are a few tweaks on some of those shots and stuff, but yeah, they've all kind of been sat waiting to go into the rest of the film for a while. But you're right, in Chance Encounter, I did all that stuff myself. But in this one, the ship, I've got to be careful how you say that. The ship shots, they weren't done in-house. But everything, all the other visual effects, I've done myself. The producer, Alex, he wanted to use his guy, and I was thrilled to as well. And it certainly probably got much better results than I'd have been able to do, and took the workload off me as well. So yeah, but thanks for the compliment. I think they look great as well. So,
well, talking about that compositing that you did, there is a shot in the trailer, I believe, where it's the extension of the bridge. As you talked about in the pre-production, you had part of that bridge set being a green screen, and you were going to key that in. Am I thinking right that shot in the trailer which is sort of a reverse angle on that bridge station, would be composited.
That's right. Yep.
Fantastic. That has worked exactly as you thought it would. I can't even tell the difference, and I challenge anyone to pick up on it.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks, man. Yeah. I mean, the whole goal early on from this was just the way the story came around was I've said this before, I think way back, there wasn't ever going to be a lot of stuff happening on the bridge. We needed to show it, but not a great deal. And so there was no need for us to do anything super ambitious with it and, build the whole freaking thing and handheld move complex stuff and green screen with tracking markers and stuff. And we had a little bit of that. In the end, I shot on the day when we were shooting the bridge stuff. We only shot the bridge on one day. And I did shoot versions that were handheld or at least had a moving camera on them and with tracking markers. And I also did sort of safety locked off shots. So just so that I didn't back myself into a corner if I had some trouble tracking it all in. And in the end, I just kind of felt it was simpler and easier to use the locked off shots. We still put a little bit of a pan in the move because we can do that because we're not using the full frame. We're just using an element that we've filmed. So we can still have pseudo camera movement in some of those shots. But that just seemed like the neatest way to do it. And I think because we're not making a huge selling point of the bridge set, we don't have some big amazing shot at the start of the bridge where you come in and we show the whole thing and in all its grandeur with a full crew. It's just like, oh, here's a quick shot that's on the bridge, and we hope that, really my hope is that it will just kind of roll past people and they won't think, oh wait, did they have a bridge set? I just want people to be so sort of involved by that point that they don't stop and question whether we had a set or not. I just want it to just roll on by. So I'm glad that you thought it looked well composited, because if it is, that will hopefully help it to do just that. So
fantastic, Gary. Well, short of dissecting the plot, which I think we should do when you release, you should come back and we should talk in all the spoilerific detail on this one.
Yeah, I'll be bang up for that.
Fantastic. Well, I think we should leave it there. We have teased the hell out of this. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm pretty sure we said this the last time that you were here. You can't rush art, but it is absolutely awesome that original sort of deadline that you put on yourself is working, and we're going to see this by May. The Holy Core was the first fan film that I followed closely here on the show. From concept to crowdfunding through production and release, Gary committed to the project and set realistic deadlines for himself and his team, and he met every single one of them. Gary O'Brien is among a stellar roll call of fan film producers that are still out there, that just get in and get the job done without fuss. And Trekzone features all these great folks, including Gary Davis, Aaron Vanderklay, Nick Cook as well, in the often recalled series Fan Films Done Right. It's time now, with Gary's blessing, for me to bring you a live broadcast of The Holy Core.
Captain's log, stardate 45385.2. The Vigilance has arrived at Planet Vita 2 to assist with an ambitious and experimental new procedure to rid its atmosphere of dangerous radiogenic particles. These increasingly harmful pollutants are the unfortunate legacy left to the Vitans following centuries of war on their world.
And so with your help and the new Voron field technology, we project that we'll achieve a 98% reduction in the particle count. Finally, our world will be healthy again.
It's an impressive technique that can only work here on Vita 2. due to the unique composition of the planet's atmosphere.
That's right. When the satellites generate the Voron field, the Valiant particles that occur naturally here will bind to the pollutant. Once they're joined, it's a simple matter to disperse these off into space, and they'll take the radiogenic particles along with them.
Fascinating. And so how does the Vigilance assist in this endeavour?
With raw power, Captain. In more recent years, we Vitans have finally been enjoying a somewhat fragile peace after so much turmoil. Unfortunately, though, a consequence of such prolonged devastation has meant all our recent efforts have been rooted in the rather mundane but necessary tasks needed to sustain a population.
What Brother Yeshua is too proud to say, Captain, is that whilst we've been able to repurpose existing satellites to sustain the Voron field, we simply don't have anything comparable in power to a Federation starship such as yours.
And the energy output needed to first generate the field is something we simply aren't capable of producing ourselves.
Well, subject to my Chief Engineer's approval, we'll be delighted to help.
Well, you've got it. Brother Yeshua and I will control the process from the Vigilance. Commander Boltzmann and Brother Kost will travel via shuttle to the far side of the planet and monitor the field symmetry from orbit.
Dennis be praised, Captain. I humbly thank you on behalf of all Vitans for your accommodation on this matter. 25 years ago, Genites and Pasians working together in this way would have been unheard of.
Indeed. We've come a long way, sister.
Well, Starfleet is always open to assisting where it can. And making your world safe again for all its inhabitants is certainly a worthy cause. This is a positive day for us all, sister.
Janus, bless this mission and bring our planet a long and safe future. Janus be praised.
Praise Janus.
And now, Captain, we're very much looking forward to our tour.
Of course, it shall be my pleasure.
Commander, may I have a moment?
Is this about tomorrow night's dinner by any chance?
It all arrived this morning. Safe.
It did, that's great.
Only the finest Anglo food and wine.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too.
Happy anniversary.
Yours.
I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Initiating satellite startup procedure.
Orbit established. Thrusters at station keeping. Boltzmann to Vigilance. We're in position.
Acknowledge, Boltzmann. We're almost ready to proceed. Stand by.
Incredible. Very few of my people get to venture into space. You must see views like this all the time. Tell me, do you ever become numb to it?
Not at all. Views like this, missions of this kind, are exactly why I joined Starfleet. May I ask a question, Brother Kost?
Of course, Commander.
What caused the war on Vita 2?
Well, it happened over 500 years ago. We were led by the one true prophet, Janus Pasian. One day he vanished mysteriously, and our ancestors split into two factions, Genites and Pasians, each blaming the other for his disappearance, which created a schism and then eventually war.
Many civilizations have a history of war at their heart. The Earth is no different. But it's the future that's important now.
Indeed. His will prevails. What of your own world, Commander? Are you a religious people?
Long ago, various faiths did dominate our world. Governments, wars, art, everything fell under its influence to some degree. But as science progressed, many began to see religions as anachronistic, reminders only of the wars and divisions between people.
And today, do humans still view them in that light? Old fables good only for sowing division?
Thankfully not. In the fullness of time, humans came to acknowledge that, in many ways, religion is the foundation of our civilization. For us to excise them would be to deny our own history. And once humanity ventured out into the galaxy, we realized just how integral faith had been in our own development. Understanding ourselves helped us to understand those we encountered. Given Viton's scientific progress and the horrendous war, are there those on your world that feel their faith is supplanted?
Supplanted?
I mean, given the years of bloodshed, perhaps science is the way forward for your people.
For us, science and religion don't preclude one another as they seem to for you. Janus himself was a scientist of sorts. His will is our core. It's who we are, the air we breathe. It is said that he had written the final chapter, teachings that would bring everlasting harmony. A tragedy those words were lost.
For Viton's, religion isn't just some rhetoric, but a whole way of being.
Of being, of life, of Janus.
All right, deflector assembly charged. Power waveguide's looking good. How are the satellites, Brother Yeshua?
Network active. Voron emitter standing by.
Okay. Deflector control to bridge. We're ready down here, Captain.
Very well, Lieutenant. Proceed at your discretion. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you, Captain. Whatever the outcome here today, it shall be Janus's will.
Vigilance to shuttle. We're ready to proceed.
We're standing by, Lieutenant.
Good luck, everyone. Janus be with us.
Thank you. Sensors at full resolution.
Initiating energy transfer to the network in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Initiating energy pulse.
It's working. Satellites are online and energy absorption's looking good.
Confirmed. The Voron field is forming and stabilizing. Janus be praised.
It's wonderful. Congratulations, brother.
Thank you. What was that?
Unknown. I can't get... The Vigilance is firing phasers.
What?
Brother Yeshua, are you insane?
Computer, red alert!
The war will never be done. Our Janus is the only one.
Medical emergency and deflector control.
The war will never be done. Our Janus is the only one.
Take him to the captain.
The war will never be done. Our Janus is the only one.
Lieutenant Phillips, report.
Stand by. Several of the ship's systems were disrupted when he took control. It seems that the phaser fire interacted with the Voron field. Very unusual readings, Captain. Why would Brother Yeshua do that?
I hope I'm about to find that out. Is there an update on the missing shuttle?
Our phaser beam was disrupted by Valion particles. The energy was then focused on the shuttle like a lightning rod. It's gone. Jennifer's gone.
But not lost, Lieutenant. There was no explosion, no debris.
True. Sensors showed that a kind of field formed at their coordinates and expanded via the satellite network to engulf the whole atmosphere.
Does this field pose a threat?
I don't think so. The field's already dispersing, and further scans may reveal the shuttle's whereabouts.
Understood. You have your work cut out, Lieutenant. You all right?
I think so.
No. Can't be.
What is it?
The Voron field.
Where are we?
According to the coordinates, Vita 2.
Janus be praised.
Vita 2, approximately 500 years ago.
Captain's log, supplemental. Brother Yeshua has sabotaged our mission, injuring Sister Zora and causing the shuttle to vanish. Lieutenant Phillips has launched an investigation, whilst I try to get some answers of my own.
Such anger, Captain, but it doesn't become you. What you'd really like to know is why I attacked the Genites. My world was lost a long time ago when the Phasian leaders appeased our enemies, the Genites. This so-called peace is not Genesis' will. The war will never be done while we share our world with them. They're not our brothers.
We must live together as brothers or perish together as fools. What kind of person would take our offer of help and turn it into murder for some twisted belief?
Twisted belief? You'll never understand our faith and tradition.
Tradition? A tradition of war?
If Janus wills it, then war is a good thing.
No, we shall strive for peace. Genesis. What does that mean? Are they your thoughts? Were you born innately with such ideas? Or are they the words of a father, or mother, or priest, imprinting their ideology on a child? See the value of faith as a means of solace, moral guidance, but not when it involves the taking of lives.
The Genites murdered generations of my people, stole our land, forced us to the outskirts of the planet.
But surely that is the past. Sister Zora explained an amnesty is formed. Peace shall prevail. Moreover, involving Starfleet potentially ignites conflict between our peoples. Your crimes are legion.
And your hypocrisy is sickening, Captain, all the more that you can't see it. Your ship is equipped with weapons far more destructive than ours, and there's been no shortage of wars to wage with them. Klingons, Romulans, Cardassians, all victims of your peaceful federation. You claim to embrace diversity and respect other ways of life, but the truth is that unless a species wears your uniform and follows your rules, you'll happily turn your weapons upon them.
The diversity you see amongst my crew is nothing more than a consequence of people sharing values. Cherished values which sometimes must be fought for. It certainly isn't evidence of conquered peoples forced into servitude. Despite your actions today, I still choose to believe that your people, like countless others we've encountered, will ultimately reject petty hatred and embrace peace and progress, just as we have.
And there it is. Unless people follow your view of the world, you give yourself license to dismiss them out of hand for having the wrong values. After passing that judgment, your wars are easily justified. At least I'm honest in my beliefs, Captain. After our atmosphere is restored, millions of Phasians will rise up and wipe out the Genites once and for all.
You failed in your attempt to destroy the Genite city. You will be punished for what you've done.
If Janus wills it.
Lieutenant Mills, escort this man to the brig.
Well, Dennis be praised, we were lucky to survive. Underside of the hull's badly damaged. For the cost? For the cost! For the cost!
Don't touch him!
You know this man?
Yes. It's Janus Pasian, our prophet.
Can you be sure?
Yes. His likeness is in every school, every temple.
I need to check his vitals. We need to go. There's a radiation leak from our throttle assembly. It's interacting with the Valion particles on our hull. He took the initial burst, but we'll be safe inside the shuttle. Brother Cost! It will break down all organic matter in the area.
Including this scroll!
Phillips to Captain Keller.
Go ahead, Lieutenant.
We have more information on the shuttle. We had to come down here.
I'm on my way.
Incredible. This is ancient Viton, but I can read it. This is the final chapter. The holy core of Janus! It's so simple! These divine words, if preached, they would have maintained unity. But we have killed him. If so, we are responsible for 500 years of brutal war!
The past? Are you sure?
Yes, Captain. Our phaser fire in the Voron field caused a temporal aperture to open.
Understood. Just how far back are we talking?
There's no way to tell. But we could send a signal back through the aperture.
Go on.
Well, a modulating carrier wave could deliver a simple message. They wouldn't be able to reply, but if they're alive, it could help to guide them back.
Excellent work.
We have to do this now, though, Captain. In around 20 minutes, the chronotonic field will have dispersed and the aperture will collapse. We'll have no way to trace them. They'll be lost.
Then let's get to it.
Listen, brother. This is not the answer. This is not your fault. Whatever happened on the Vigilance was out of our control. Science and logic brought peace to your world because of rational men like you. So be rational now.
I am a person of faith. You were the one that was suggesting that faith was a thing of the past.
Meant no disrespect. You're both rational and with faith. Perhaps, just perhaps, this is how things are supposed to be.
I cannot accept that our crash started the 500-year war. This was not how it's supposed to be.
Look, it reads that history is unfolding correctly. Our memories, these records, both show that the timeline's unaffected. We haven't altered the past. We're part of it.
Just cannot accept that this is correct.
Science is correct. Have faith in it also, brother.
Fellow Boltzmann, Yeshua sabotaged the mission. His fanatics refused to accept peace. There's a chronotonic aperture in orbit linking our timeframes, but it's dissipating rapidly. You have approximately 20 minutes to travel back through it, or you'll be trapped in the past. Our sensor readings are attached. Good luck.
Yeshua.
Need your help to get this ship into orbit. Almost. The radiation expecting thrusters.
Janice, I understand now. Please help us return with the scroll.
Brother, we have to leave it here. The temple directive was clear.
I don't care about your directive. This is the final chapter. I'd rather die than leave it here.
All right. Fine. Unless Janice can help us get the ship off the ground, it won't matter anyway.
We can only hope they've received the message.
I'm going to assume they did. They still have 2 minutes. Hold fast, Lieutenant.
Jennifer? Jennifer, this is Dale. If you can hear this, please hurry. You've only got 2 minutes until... Remember our date? I've got the wine cooling. Please.
Structural integrity is at 30%.
Our makeshift repairs won't last forever.
Radiation levels are critical. Hurry.
The Voron field is dispersed, Captain. She's gone.
Why did you steer us away?
I had no choice. Look at these readings. If we returned, our radiation interacting with Vorons could easily have triggered a chain reaction in your atmosphere. We would have killed everything on the surface.
Then the final chapter can never be read. It's over.
Maybe not. I have an idea.
Captain, there's a Starfleet signal being detected on the planet's third moon.
Helm, take us there. Full impulse.
No shuttle pod. Just a message buoy.
Why didn't we detect its signal before?
It was programmed to only start transmitting a moment ago. There's a brief log in the memory buffer. It's from Brother Cost to all Vitans.
Bring it aboard.
From our readings, it's been on the moon for approximately 500 years.
Play the recording.
Commander Jennifer Boltzmann, recording. Following Yeshua's sabotage, we crashed 500 years in the past. We sustained radiation. We couldn't risk returning. We would have destroyed the entire atmosphere.
It's incredible, I know, but our crash caused Janice Pazian's death.
No, this is a fake. This is a trick.
Quiet!
I repeat, the sabotage killed Janice Pazian.
I have Brother Cost here with me.
This is a message for all Vitans. I have left the final chapter in the buoy. Let the words on this parchment show you the right path. If you can hear this, Yeshua, I forgive you. And may Janice forgive you too.
Dale! Dale, I love you!
Hurry, Commander!
Idiot! Murderer!
Lieutenant, enough! He will be punished for what he's done.
Captain. Lieutenant. Forgive me. McGinnis, forgive me.
Captain's log, supplemental. It is with a heavy heart that I must record the sad loss of Commander Boltzmann and Brother Cost. Their brave sacrifice no doubt saved the Vitans' planet, but their final act also seems sure to bring about a lasting peace. Dissemination of the final chapter has caused a remarkable transformation on their world already. How fitting that this momentous occasion be marked also by the successful cleansing of their atmosphere.
Your commander and Brother Cost are heroes. Their courage and good deeds will never be forgotten by the Vitan people. Real peace is finally here. Come in.
Lieutenant, I thought you'd be resting.
I'm fine, Captain. Jennifer would want me to finish the mission. And our latest scan shows that the atmosphere is now completely free from radiogenic particles.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Lieutenant.
I still struggle to believe that Yeshua's actions caused your holy war in the first place. What a twisted coincidence that they were thrown back to that exact moment in time. It's beyond logic.
Indeed. Beyond logic lies faith, Captain.
Well, welcome to the show as 10 podcasts in 10 days continues. And it's a special treat this morning because Mr. Gary O'Brien has been coming on this show for 15 months, banging on about his fan film. He said he was going to make it, and lo and behold, he actually made it. It's been released in the last hour. Mr. Gary O'Brien, welcome back to Trekzone once more unto the breach with a completed fan film.
Yep, that's right. Glad to be back, Matt. Thank you.
Congratulations on this massive effort, mate. It is a beautiful production, 30 minutes in length with a TNG-esque story that everyone should be proud of.
Cool. Well, thanks, mate. That's a pretty good endorsement. I'll go with that. Thank you.
Now, there's a couple of twists in this film, and we should fully declare that this is a spoiler warning. Anybody that hasn't seen the film needs to jump over to and watch that. The link is available in the video description. Now, Gary, that's a good enough spoiler alert, I reckon.
I reckon that's alerted sufficiently. Well done.
So, the twists in this plot, when you were scripting it, when you were breaking it down, sort of what was the thought process on all of that? In the way that these characters developed over 30 minutes.
Okay, so the twist you're referring to is that when Yeshua takes control of the ship.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Because it's funny, actually, because it's funny how different people think. Because to me, I never had that as a particular big kind of, oh, here's a twist, because it happens reasonably early on, and it's kind of the fuel for the rest of the movie. But I'm glad that, if you saw it as a twist, then I'll happily take that as being a twist, because that's cool. I'm happy with that. But yeah, I mean, I think it was just, it's more like when you come up with the concept of the story, you kind of start, you don't necessarily start at the very, very, very beginning. You kind of have your ideas of the things you want to cover. And then once you got that nailed out, you think, well, we can't just start there. So then you just backtrack it a bit. And, and so, he reveals his true nature shortly after the film starts. But we put little clues in there that he's a bit of a villain. I mean, it's only a half-hour movie and we haven't got too much time to play around. So we weren't afraid to kind of maybe signpost a little bit that perhaps he's up to something. But, it wasn't one or the other, really. I think it's just kind of the way the story is told. That's how it rolls,
And as we move through the story, and our shuttle pod is thrown back in time, and we're
Yes.
back on this planet. Something that you did so well in Chance Encounter is the location filming. And this time around, we're out planet side a little bit, and then we jump back into that shuttle pod that you spent some time, and you expanded out that shuttle pod.
Yes, yeah, that's right. We did a little bit of work on that set. It's funny, I look back at that film and I'm like, I spent I don't know, months like sorting that shuttle out, and I look at it and I'm like, it's not that different looking than it did in the first film. Where did all my time go? But we did build the front on so that we could shoot some reverse angles from behind the seats, although we didn't do that much of that, but we could. So we built the sort of front triangular sections in, and a lot of what I did was make the control dashboard thing just a lot sturdier and a lot more photographable. That's the word, because in the previous film it had all just sort of been resting together and it wasn't much to it. Whereas I knew we were going to be in that set a lot more for this film, so I can't have it keep falling apart while we're trying to film with it. It's got to be built sturdily, and we built that little box on it a bit better. It had a little screen in it and some running lights under the window. So yeah, it was a bit more to that set this time around, but most of the time you see it from looking into it from the front, and it kind of looks the same as the last film. But
and this film is, as Chance Encounter was, it very much is capturing the essence of the next generation, but then putting your own spin on it. And what I really liked was the discovery that them, towards the end of the film here, we're thinking that everyone's going to end the film all nice and happy. Everyone's all going to walk away. She's got the dinner date to go to. But we actually, as I was saying to you off camera just before, you followed through and actually didn't have a Deus Ex Machina for our characters to get out of the predicament that they were in. They really did end up giving their lives to save the planet. I just think that was a really nice touch, and it was done really well. And the best part with all of these sort of time stories is that you don't think too much about it. It all works out in the end.
yes, yeah, it does all work out. I mean, somebody might be able to figure out a way that we've made a mistake with the time loop type stuff. I wouldn't be surprised, because these things have a way of getting out of hand. But I think it's pretty watertight. I might, like I say, I could be corrected on that. But yeah, in terms of the characters dying, we don't have any obligation to these characters. They're not on a contract to come back next week and next week and next week. So you can ramp your story up and make it more dramatic by killing them than if they lived. So just crank it up, man. There's no point keeping them alive at the end. What's the point, And seriously, it does make the story more interesting. And it's funny, I watched it, the film with, I sort of screened it with some friends who didn't know much about it, and I wanted to just see what their take on it was. And I could just sense that they thought, they're going to come back through the time portal thing and it'll all be wrapped in a neat bow. And I could tell that they were, stunned when that shuttle just, blows up, because, it's not what you're expecting. And yet when you think about it, there's no real reason why it can't, because like I say, it's not like we've got next week's episode to worry about. So.
Exactly. Well, Gary, is there a third fan film on the horizon, even a twinkle in your mind's eye?
I really have no idea. It's too big a thing to think about straight off the back of finishing one. So I have no capacity in my mind to think one way or the other about it at the moment.
Well, there we have it, a much shorter and more professional looking live stream today, dare I say. With my thanks to Gary O'Brien for allowing me to bring you the whole core from concept to premiere. My thanks also to Gary for his time as well throughout the months. Well, next week, another fan film producer called Gary. This one's Gary Davis. He's from Dominion Media and he's going to be premiering Redemption at Red Medusa right here on Trekzone Live. That's next Friday in Australia, Thursday for the United States. Don't forget the Trekzone Patreon to get exclusive and early access to behind-the-scenes content. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube are the socials. We're all there. Search for Trekzone. Plus the website as well. Can't forget that. Where it all began 16 years ago almost. Trekzone.org for all your news, reviews, and screen caps. And your favourite podcasting app, Trekzone, is there as well with audio versions of the YouTube show. Search for Trekzone. You're bound to find us. For now, until Talking Science on Tuesday, I'm Matt Miller. Thanks so much for watching this Trekzone Live presentation.